Let me start off by saying my son, Adam, is 22 years old. Back when my ex-wife, Tori, and I were trying for kids, we found out that I was infertile. We decided we'd adopt, then about 4 months later my ex-wife is pregnant. I was thrilled because I thought maybe the doctor made a mistake. No, I was wrong. My ex-wife cheated on me, and I didn't find out until 20 years later. Tori told me 2 years ago that she cheated on me, and we did a paternity test to make sure, and well, he's not my biological son. My ex and I divorced a few weeks later. Ever since my son found out the truth, he wanted to meet his biological father. He did, and they started to become really close. It hurt me much more than I thought it would. He's an adult, he can make his own decisions, but it hurt really bad. They started to bond really well, and all of a sudden Adam became really distant from me. It's been like this for almost a year and a half. I try to text him to make plans for dinner, and he said he's busy with Chris, biological father. I tried numerous times to connect with him by calling and texting, but he never made plans aside from like a meal every other month. We used to do stuff every other week, but it's been completely different since he found out about Chris. I couldn't stand it. My son, who I raised since he was a baby, treated me like I didn't matter. Anytime we'd actually have plans, he would still be cold and distant. What I mean by that is became much more defensive of his personal life. I'd ask him how classes or friends were, and he'd just say they were fine, but never go deeper than that. He also changed his major from econ to computer science and didn't even mention it to me until a year later. I told him how much he was hurting me because of how distant he was, and he apologized and said he'd do better. He never did. I told him numerous times and he never changed. He was still distant. What was the final straw for me was the phone conversation I had with him last week. He said he was going to change his last name to Chris's because he liked it so much and because they were close. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I told him this, "I can't believe you are going to do this. That's really disappointing to me. If you decide to change your last name, go ahead, but if you do, then I'm no longer your father and I don't want to be involved in your life." He hung up on me. I didn't even bother reaching out because I know he wouldn't respond. I stand by what I said. I meant every word and still do. The last name change to me means he no longer views me as a father and views Chris as his, despite the fact he's 22. My family told me I'm being unreasonable, meanwhile my best friends think it's reasonable. I was told to post it here. So am I the idiot? This story makes my blood boil. A couple months ago there was Am I the Idiot about a man who found out that his child wasn't his, and many of the comments called him an idiot for wanting to abandon his child. Now we have a situation where the child in question is abandoning his father for someone who he has barely known compared to the man that raised him. OP, in literal terms, you are not the father of this child. Apparently, your son doesn't think so either, literal or not. Not the idiot, and never apologize for your actions. Your ex-wife is a crap person too. Not the idiot. Literally everyone except you is a major idiot. You take 2 days off after learning the truth about a 20-year-old lie, which is more than reasonable. In return, your son chooses 2 cheaters, assuming Chris knew, which is likely, over his father that raised him for 2 decades. You were not the one that cut ties with him, he did. You only made it official once it reached the boiling point with a name change. You did more than most people ever would to maintain your relationship, but in the end nothing can change if your son refused to spend time with you. Well yeah, this is a pretty crappy situation. I don't think that Adam is necessarily an idiot for wanting to spend time with his bio dad, but I do think he's being an idiot over how he's treating you. He's definitely prioritizing the new and exciting bio dad over the guy that didn't turn out to be his bio dad, but still raised him. From what you've told us, I'll go with not the idiot. Maybe Adam doesn't 100% realize exactly how this is affecting you, but I'd agree with you in that I'd view my son, daughter, changing their name to their bio parents as a pretty blatant "you're not my parent anymore," and I'd be pretty upset too. I recently got engaged and took some time off to visit our parents and start planning. First stop was mine and then his. I suffer from chronic pain and take a variety of meds which cause a decrease in appetite and nausea. I haven't disclosed my illness to my in-laws, but a few nights ago I could hear her complaining about how I'm too good to eat what they cook. I let it go. Yesterday, my fiancé took me around his hometown. On the way back, he remembered to get beer, but we were already pulling into the driveway. I was tired, so he dropped me off. His parents were waiting for me in the living room, angry. Future mother-in-law, you really think you can pull the wool over our eyes, don't you? You think you can bring medicine into our house? Me motioning to a seat because my legs hurt. Future mother-in-law, no. You stand. How dare you bring this disgusting crap into our house? I reach for my cell phone and she yells at me to keep my hands at my side. Future mother-in-law, I don't care how legal this stuff is. We don't allow this garbage in our house. She pulls out a plastic wrapped package and I immediately know what it is. My husband took a bite out of it and got sick. I'm pissed off right now because this was at the bottom of my luggage. And then she starts going off about how many pills I take, again, wouldn't know if you hadn't gone through my stuff, and how her son doesn't deserve a bad person like me. She takes my package and shows me where future father-in-law took a few bites and threw up soon after. It's been 10 minutes and my fiancé is back. His mom asks him if he knows all the medication I'm on and how I brought terrible stuff into their house. He can't get a straight answer about how they know about my medicine, but then he glances at the package and just sighs. Fiancé mom, it's soap. He even says soap. He broke off a piece, headed to the kitchen, and washed his hands with it, showing them the lather. Future mother-in-law fired back saying that she's never seen soap like that and that this doesn't explain the amount of meds I take. They say they're justified in what they did because they want the best for their son, and since it's their house they can go through personal belongings at will. I let them have it. I start screaming and cussing because I'm exhausted and tired. I can't remember everything I said, but my throat has been a mess from all of the screaming. Future father-in-law tried to give me back the soap, but I kind of threw it at him saying I didn't want his gum disease. Terrible, I know. We're staying at a hotel and not talking to his parents. I feel I could have gone about it better. I wanted a good relationship with my in-laws and we've always kind of gotten along, now I feel like I screwed up badly. Not the idiot. Even if you feel bad about your reaction, think about the nerve they have to go through your personal belongings, eat your soap, which serves father-in-law right, and complain about your medications. Your reaction was justified. They may be your in-laws and you want to have a good relationship, but they need to respect you as an adult to have that. Showing them right off the bat that you will not tolerate that level of disrespect and invasion of privacy is good. And also good that you're so stood up for you and supported you. Not the idiot. You're kidding that they thought soap was a medicine. Your reaction was completely understandable. They violated you by going through your things desperately trying to find a reason to say why you aren't good enough. I don't think you can have a good relationship with them, but not because of your reaction. Seems like they're intent on using anything to turn their son against you. If it wasn't the medicine soap or you blood pressure meds, it would be something else. Not the idiot. You say you feel like you burned a bridge. You didn't burn it, they did when they violated your basic human right to privacy. Your belongings simply being in the house doesn't make it their belongings, and therefore they can't just go through it and have it be okay. It's like if they stole your medication instead of confronting you about it, it would still be illegal even if it all happened in their home. You maybe didn't handle it how you would have wanted to had you been thinking clearly, but you didn't do anything wrong by telling them off. My girlfriend and I have been dating for 4 years and engaged for 1. Not too long after we had been dating she told me about her family tradition for marriages. She said that the boy must take the mother of the bride out on a date night, buy her a dress and something to sleep in, pay for everything, and buy them a hotel to stay in. She said that it's nothing to be worried or freaked out about and that getting to the hotel doesn't mean you have to sleep together, although a long time ago it did. I laughed a little bit and asked if she was serious. She said that she was. I had a hard time believing it, but I didn't care to discuss it anymore. We never really talked about it until this past week. I had honestly pretty much forgotten about it. My girlfriend and I have our wedding in less than a month. We were talking about wedding stuff and she asked me if I had picked out what her mom and I were going to do for our date night. I laughed it off and waited for her to move on. She didn't, she looked confused as to why I was laughing. She insisted again that this was 100% serious and that she expected me to do it. I told her that I didn't feel comfortable with doing that. I didn't want to spend a night alone in a hotel with someone who wasn't my girlfriend or wife. I asked her why we would have to get a hotel. She explained that a long time ago the mother of the bride would actually sleep with the boy and that it was viewed as a way to kick off the marriage. I asked if she expected me to do that. She laughed and said of course not, but that she couldn't be upset with me if it did happen. She then said that her mother doesn't plan to actually do anything connected with making love. Still kinda freaked out by the whole concept, I asked if I could just buy the mom dinner. My girlfriend got more upset and asked me why I was refusing to follow a fun tradition. I simply said that I just don't feel comfortable with it. She said that I'm acting like a stubborn kid and that I should just have fun. I insisted that I wouldn't do the hotel part. She left and went on to tell her family. They have all reached out to me and asked me what is wrong with me and why I'm being such a jerk about it. The mom called me and she actually was nice about it. She said that she thinks I'm a great guy and that while she would love to have a night together, she understands that I have a right to say no. She even said that she spoke to my girlfriend about it and told her that I have that right. Nonetheless, my girlfriend is still upset with me. I will mention as well that my girlfriend and her family are from a different culture, so that is probably why I'm not accustomed to this. Am I an idiot for being stubborn about continuing this tradition? Not the idiot. If you're not comfortable doing something, it ends there. Getting married is a two-way street, and it's really rough that your fiancé isn't willing to acknowledge that you're uncomfortable. Your future mother-in-law sounds pretty reasonable. I'd say the best option is to just meet halfway. I think taking your future mother-in-law out for a dinner would be a good middle road, and then each of you would go home. I'd view it as getting the maternal blessing, similar to how a father would sit down and talk to the fiancé. I hope your wedding goes well. Trust your gut and don't do anything you're not comfortable with. Not the idiot. Even if her family views this tradition as no big deal, you clearly do, which is not surprising, cause what the hell. A big part of a marriage is the ability to compromise, which you clearly demonstrated by offering to take your future mother-in-law to dinner. The fact that your girlfriend is pushing something that you've told her that you're not on board with makes one wonder what other boundaries she's willing to ignore for the sake of tradition. Not the idiot, but I think there's a middle ground here. Buy mother-in-law an outfit, new clothes are a nice gift, and some sleepwear. Take her to a nice restaurant, treat her kindly, as you would a mother-in-law, and then pay for her room at a nice hotel. You drop her in the lobby and then you go home. She gets a nice dinner and a quiet night. This may be a holdover from people in caravans seeing a night in a hotel as very luxurious. Having a future sister-in-law take her out is proof he'd do the same for the daughter. My 21, mom, 53, met my dad, 54, in college. My dad comes from old family money, but my mom's family was very middle class. But when my sister, 24, and I were growing up, my mom acted like she had always been upper class and is very snobbish. I remember how we would go to dinner with her siblings, and she would insist on choosing the restaurant to make sure it was up to her standards, make a big show of paying the bill, and then would crap talk her siblings and their spouses, kids, the whole way home, making fun of their clothes, cars, jobs, you name it. She has always placed importance on whoever was wealthiest, had the best family, and wouldn't let my sister and I hang out with kids after school who weren't up to her standards. It's made our relationship a little strained, especially since she obsesses about these things today, but she's my mom, and I love her. Anyways, due to COVID, I'm staying with my parents since my college sent everybody home. My sister is living in another state, but we have family Zoom calls once a week. On one of the early Zoom calls, my sister told us that she had a new boyfriend and they ended up moving in together for quarantine. My sister has her own apartment which my parents pay for partially. They go to the same law school, and he seemed very sweet when we talked to him. My mom started in with the parents' childhood plans line of questioning. He told her that he had gotten a scholarship for law school since his dad was a construction worker and his mom was a preschool teacher, and that he grew up in a small town. My mom was super chilly to him after this and afterward went on a rant about how he wasn't good enough for sister and how he just wants her money after all. My dad and I thought she'd stop, but she did this every single call. Super cold to a perfectly nice guy and ranting and talking trash about him afterward. She did the whole thing again after our most recent call, and I was pretty fed up. I asked her to stop saying that stuff, and she said it was the truth, that he was just a gold digger. I asked her how she was different from him, since she grew up a lot like him, and asked if she just wanted dad's money after all. She got super upset with me and didn't tell me to get out or anything, but she's been sort of ignoring me since then and makes passive-aggressive comments or mentioning how she's been crying. My dad talked to me after dinner and said that I really hurt her feelings and she just wants to make sure my sister ends up with a good guy, even if she doesn't seem like it. He said that she was just trying to be a good mom and I upset her. I feel really bad, she can be annoying at times, but she is my mom and I don't want to hurt her. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot, obviously. I think you should talk to your dad. From experience, her behavior is only going to get worse and without your dad stepping in to support you, your sister, and her boyfriend your mom is only going to see it as you against her and won't change. It seems like your dad is aware of the behavior but doesn't want to rock the boat. Maybe talking to him might change that. Also, make sure that you tell your sister you support her and the relationship, and so does your dad. You say it out loud is going to make her feel so much better if she picked up on your mom's cold manner. Good luck. Not the idiot, your mom sounds like a piece of work. It's one thing for a person to grow up with money and then have oblivious privileged attitudes, but your mom is just a straight up overt classist. What's funny is her attitude is very new money, and I bet a lot of people have laughed at her over the years for being so crassly shallow and materialistic. Those attitudes show even we don't think we're showing them. And it's gross that your dad clearly thinks it's okay for her to be this way. Personally, I wouldn't bother trying to change her, just use her as an example of what not to be like in this world. And be really supportive of your sister. Not the idiot. Your mom sounds insufferable, holy crap. You know her behavior is neither normal nor okay, right? It's astronomically judgmental and out of touch. You have to stand up for your sister and her boyfriend, you can't give in to people like this. If she wants to swan around pretending she's so much better than everyone else because she's rich and never expects to be called out on that crappy attitude, then she's deluded and is way overdue a wake-up call. Your happiness will suffer if you let her dictate who you do and do not be friends or date or talk to.